We got yarmulkes for you, baby. Good to have you, man.
Mic'd up.
All hooked up. All right.
I would have gone more food. Who's in charge of the finance?
Okay. Rabbi, so I want to ask you. I want to talk about a topic which sounds like it's hashkafa, but it's very, very much halacha as well. Misham, this Sunday, I plan on giving a share on this, so I'm going to talk through the topics together. So you have to come Sunday anyways. But a very important question. And the question goes as follows. They have today genetic testing. Right? Everyone heard of this genetic testing? Today, they're able to do through gene testing, you could have almost you could have a perfect person, almost. They're able to actually edit what color eyes. No, trust me, those perfect people ain't gonna be that perfect. Most of my chevra were people they thought they were perfect. But so the question like this: they're able to with genetic editing, they could literally take an embryo, they could take a fetus, not a fetus yet, and they're able to micro-engineer that it should be mamish perfect. They can make a person that he should have no flaws. All right? Sounds like an amazing thing. Right now it's expensive. Sooner or later it won't be expensive. Right now they only do it for medical reasons. Sooner or later they won't. There's a question in Hashkafa B'chlal. We know there's halacha of emunah. Emunah means I'm relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But then there's always the question of, okay, you can rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu up to a point, but a certain amount you got to make hishtadlus, you got to do something. There's this balance. In last week's parsha, the pasuk says, "Tamim tiyeh im Hashem Elokeichem." What does that mean? Tamim means you should be wholehearted, trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Rashi says, listen to what Rashi says, and then we're gonna come over this one. Hisalach imoy b'tmimus. Trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu completely. V'titzap eloi, and just rely on Him. Hope for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'leitachker achar hasidus. Don't be busy with trying to figure out the future. Whatever happens, accept it completely. Then you'll be okay. Here's a big question. People have the question all the time. Today, when everyone does shidduchim, everyone does Doyer Sharm testing. Why? Maybe it's a genetic disorder. Question is, why test? Tamim tiyem Hashem Elokeichem. Hashem says, don't worry about that asidus. Don't worry about the future. Rely on me. I mean, it's like anybody here ever, what any of the certain, the future is not certain anyways. Just rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Talk to me, yes. So where's the shtadlus start and stop? Oh, they know. So that's a question in us. When Doyer Sharm came out, by the way, a lot of people said, this is crazy. You're going to test for Moshe, there's something called J screening now. J screening tests for hundreds of disorders. Now the problem with J screening is they don't just tell you if they don't just tell you a match and not a match. They'll actually give you the results. And people freak out. They find out that I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, and it turns out I'm a carrier for 8,000 diseases. And they start Googling these diseases, and you're like, there's no hope for humanity. And some say, whoa, what do you got to do? What to test for 1,000 things? You have Doyer Sharm. What is our job? How much do we have to worry about the future? This question comes with shidduchim. People always say people laugh at chassidim. They're like, they do one b'show for a half hour, and that's it. They're ready to get married. Okay, what do? So we date for how long? And we're just as miserable at the end. What's the difference? As if we figured it out. and the guy that had his girlfriend for a year and a half. Now these guys, mamish, they went on vacation and they went everywhere together. Statistically, they will be less happy than the guy that went out 8 dates or the guy that did the show for 3 times. And anybody
What was that?
just
I was watching this go down. I was waiting.
okay. So the question therefore is, so what do you mean? But people say, you got to make hishtadlus. You got to make. So what is it called? What is that even called, hishtadlus? Question number 1. Question number 2. So what's normalcy?
Almost setting on a washing machine.
Actually not.
His mother taught him well. Every time he came home, he said, "Mommy, why do we have it?" Yeah, did a great job, Tidy. Yeah, right. So we're gonna get to that point. What is it? How do we see that concept? Now, next thing is right.
It changed a bunch of things over time. He said, "Let's say it's news. As things change, things change."
Right. So now, okay, right now. So now that's question number 1. Question number 2 is what is knowing the future. For example, people always want to know finding out the gender of a baby. Is that a halachic? Is that a question? Is it not a question? I shouldn't. Right? So I said, Tamti b'Hashem lekechem, whatever it's going to be. Rashi says, it's alchim moi b'tmimos.
Creating the gender
or finding out.
Today, creating the gender also.
Right. I can't create it, but you could. What?
Change no matter what, even later.
Bill means this is very, very progressive.
That's the next something you're going
That's the next thing.
That's a different. Anyway, that's one that Rabbi is giving. I'll compare him like this, guys. So it's very interesting. Moshe Feinstein says they came to Moshe now, but it's very interesting that everyone says Moshe didn't hold of Dar Yisharim. I don't know why people say it over. Now it's true that Moshe didn't hold of certain things. Moshe has a tshuva about it. And he says, Avshu miyat cotton, even if it's a small chance, Tay-Sachs. How common is Tay-Sachs? It's not common at all. Happens to be, remember, there was a shul in Brooklyn, there's parents that had 5 children with Tay-Sachs. You just couldn't even watch it. Their house was just like an ICU with drips and AIDS and this. They had two healthy kids, 5 kids with Tay-Sachs. And again, I don't know. Either they were before they tested for Doshon, they just didn't do it. So Moshe says, "Avshu miyat." It's a very, very unlikely reality. That there's going to be children that can't live past 2-3 years old. And you could say, oh, don't worry about it. So he says, like Rashi says, like we just quoted, that Rashi says, don't worry about the future. Mikol Makom says Ramosha Kivan Sha'ata Nasazeh Ba'ifin Kal Livdai. Listen to the words Ramosha is saying. Since today you could find out Ba'ifin Kal, it's easy to find out. Yesh Laden. So you could have tried. You could have taken. If you don't do the testing to find out if someone has Tay-Sachs, who kiskiras einayim liris mashev shalirais, then it just means you're closing your eyes what you're able to see. I mean, it says Ramosha, you're walking down the street and there's a pothole. I says, Tom Timashe closes his eyes. You're a fool. You're able to see. So someone you could take a blood test and it costs $200, and they tell you afterwards whether or not you're a carrier for Tay-Sachs. It's a simple thing. Do it. And if your parents are carriers for Tay-Sachs, it's a horrible thing. So of course you should do testing. Why not? You You should advertise it in the newspapers. Everyone should know there's a way to test for taste sex. Comes out very interesting things. Where do we say this and where don't we say this? So, for example, one of the most painful things, you ever see a Baal Tshuva, they could come across, they could accept almost anything. You tell me that I have to, whatever you tell me, whatever you tell about tshuva that they have to do, no problem, they can accept it. You got to do kaparas, we'll do kaparas. You got to do tashlech, I'll do tashlech. Hey, whatever it is, you go to a Rebbe and you have to do it, no problem. One of the hardest things is when they marry off their child, inevitably this conversation goes on. They turn to this man and say, so what's your plan? And they give you this blank look and they say, well, what's the plan? I hope to get married. No, what's your plan? How are you going to support our daughter? He's like, I don't know. Figure it out. I mean, you don't have a college degree? No, I didn't make it through elementary school. Dropped out of 6th grade. Did you go to trade school? What school? Trade school. You're an electrician? Nah, I don't know. This drives them crazy. What do you mean you don't have a plan? Who in the world doesn't have a plan besides from Yidden? It's unheard of. It's an unheard of thing. It's an unheard of thing. By Goyim, it makes sense. They're not getting married till they have enough money for a house, for a down payment for a house. They have enough money for for a nursery for the kids. It all makes sense. Now, the fact that you don't have a dollar to their name their whole life, I mean, maybe it doesn't bode well for them, but they have the college fund. We are mamish insane. 22 years old, they get married. They're halfway through the year, and they didn't even copy it. That the entire savings from the chasana is gone for the few dollars that they did get, and they all went to some restaurants, got anniversary and birthday, and Stamabi and Hanukkah. It's gone. They have a baby. They have no plan how they're going to pay the moil. And is this normal? Is this normal? Or maybe we're doing this all wrong. People say this all the time. I don't understand. What's going on in the kollel? How can people be learning a kollel today? If it takes a family $350,000 to support a family, what's the plan? And other guys will say, I don't know, what's the plan if you're not in kollel? Who's making that kind of money anyways? How do we look at this? Or do we say, Tam Tim Hashem Elekechem, don't worry about it. You got nothing to worry about. This is the balance. There is a concept in halacha called Shem Epsoim Hashem. What is the concept of Shem Epsoim Hashem? Concept of Shem Epsoim Hashem is that I don't have to, if society does something as a norm, I don't have to not do it. So for example, if someone is driving on the parkway 75 miles an hour, even if it's true that the studies show that 65 miles an hour is the safest speed to go, it's not usher to do it. You're not allowed to risk your life. Something that everybody does, you're allowed to do. One of the big debates was around smoking. When they asked Moshe Feinstein if it's usher to smoke or not, Moshe said it's not usher to smoke. He said something that everyone smokes. He says, even though that most people in the oncology wing may be smokers, but most smokers are not in the oncology wing. And he says, therefore, he says, I don't know, 1 cigarette, 2, it's hard to know. The oil has done it. Shem Epsoim Hashem. Today's day is nothing to talk about. It's 100% usher to start smoking. Why? Because anything which we know for sure that it's a danger, we don't say Shem Epsoim Hashem. Shem Epsoim Hashem means that if society has taken something as a norm and it's not clear that it's dangerous, there is a risk. It's not a crazy high risk, but there's a risk, then you're allowed to do it. So why let it go? It's an interesting thing. People jump out of planes. What's it called? Skydiving. What's the head to go skydiving? By the way, anyone here go skydiving ever? Shaita. How is a question? I love it. Yeah. Okay, I'm saying. By the way, if you ever see me coming down, call police, don't throw me out of a plane. I'm telling you right now. Now, skydiving, right? Did you bench Goimel afterwards? Why not? Why did you bench Goimel? It's 1 in 50,000. 1 in 50,000.
A week later, somebody fell.
And all people parking lot, the guy landed. I mean, without the parachute.
Really?
Yeah, got here.
I tell you, I went to when the year I got married, in the summer. Wife says we gotta go away, gotta go on vacation. I got honeymoon. I don't know, from nothing, a cheder kid. I was like, okay, we'll go to the country. She said, no, guys, this is unreal. My neighbor was going to the Grand Canyon. I think I was ever on a plane. I never seen my life. My parents are married, I don't know, however many years, 55 years. I don't think they ever went on vacation. Their lives are foreign to me. And I said, okay, so we went. We knew there was somebody that had, it was called AOL dial-up. You could actually see things on the computer. Took a while, the picture uploaded, made funny sounds. Then a picture came, and we found tickets to land in Las Vegas, stay in the MGM Grand. It was $400 for both tickets and the hotel. They got a rental car for like $80 for 3 days. Machaya, they lost so much money on me, MGM. And we went to the Grand Canyon. I tell my wife, what do you want to do in the Grand Canyon? A friend of hers went on a helicopter ride in the Grand Canyon. We land there Sunday. We go straight to the Grand Canyon. We come to this helicopter place and it's closed. It's lady, what's going on? She says, oh, we just had a tragedy on Friday where the NTSB shut us down. So my wife says, this Friday? She says, yeah. My wife says, well, then statistically, it's almost impossible for it to happen again. She says, this would be the perfect time to fly. I want to go today. She says, you know, it was you people that were on the helicopter. And then we found out that 3 couples were on a helicopter and they all, whatever, horrible story. So my wife's not laughing up. And she said, well, maybe you go on Monday, maybe Tuesday. When are they going to let it go again? I turned to my wife and said, don't you see this is dangerous? She says, no, it's almost impossible to happen 2 in a week. Rabbis, why is it mutter? Nishmatan la'shesechem. There's kohanim running up the mizbeach, and one kohen pushed another kohen one time. According to one shot, he broke his leg. Chazal said, oh, to come the day sakana, no more running up the ramp. A pious. That we do with the lotteries. That's how worried we are. So what's that to go? Why can you go skydiving? In other words, why is it mutter all these things that we're talking about? So the answer is that the society works with the concept of 2 things. Tam ti Hashem Elokecha means don't worry about the future. Shemer P'sayim Hashem, Hashem will protect you. Unishmatan la'shesechem, you got to preserve life. How do we balance these 2 things? There's a great concept of this. There was a fellow who was an anti-vaxxer, lived in South Africa, and Rabbi Kiva Tatz tells him you gotta vaccinate your kids. He's like, why? He says, there are kids here that can't get vaccinations. They're sick. And if you don't vaccinate your kids, we're not going to have herd immunity. Which Rabbi says is an interesting thing. They actually found, they test the sewers for all diseases. First time ever, came back positive. They found active polio in the sewers in Ramapo County. Because so many people are not vaccinating it now that it's actually present. So herd immunity. So he said, you got to do it. So the father said, no, it's a vaccine. It causes this, it causes that. My wife. He's okay, I'm going into Rabbi Yashiv. Whatever Rabbi Yashiv says you'll listen to, he said, absolutely. So they come into Rabbi Yashiv. Rabbi Yashiv says, you should take the vaccines. So he says, because of herd immunity, because you have to protect all the kids. Yashiv says, it's not your job to protect all the kids. So he said, so why should you? He said, because the doctor said he should. So he said, but the doctors are wrong. There's studies that came out, it causes this, it causes that. But Yashiv looked at him and says, am I a doctor? What do you want from me? You want to know what we do? We do exactly what society does. Tam ti Hashem Elokecha means if there's a medical world says to take vaccines, you take vaccines. Not to protect all the kids, because you. How? Because we're always, us Yidden, we're always 2 steps ahead. We're always chap, we have a chap, we're different, more unique. Rabbi Yashiv says it's sacrilegious. For example, I have a fellow, gets into my car, We're driving, and it's beeping. You know the beeping? If anyone knows how to disable the Toyota Highlander, hello, disable it. It beeps. It makes crazy. Is there a way to do it? So the kids only Toyota and Lexus. Thank you. Now he tells me. I already have a headache from it. So the kids, I asked this guy. I tell this guy, "Could you please put on the seatbelt?" He goes, "Another minute and a half. It stops beeping." I said, "Put on the seatbelt anyways." He goes, "No, I don't wear seatbelts." I said, "Why don't you wear seatbelts?" He says, "Because if you're in an accident, the seatbelt will snap your neck and kill you." I told him, I said, "I have almost every single fatal car accident I've ever been by, or near fatal. Every time they weren't wearing seatbelts." He goes, "No, it's not true." So showing me online some conspiracy theorists that they want you to wear seatbelts, it kills people. But Asher says, we don't have to become experts in traffic and safety, in road and car safety. It's not our job. It's not our job. Our job is there are people put in place to do it. Let them make the decisions, and that's it. We follow. Tamim tiem Hashem Elikechem. We don't have to be smarter than the world. We don't have to figure it out. So, now when it comes to something which is a risk, that comes back to, is it something that the populace does? And do they do it in deference of the danger? Meaning, someone goes 110 miles an hour. That person, every cop that pulls over a guy like that should go to jail. That person is a mass murderer. Because the guy's, "Oh, you don't see, I'm a great driver, I have great control." Yeah, you have control over the pothole. You have control of the shirt in the front of you that doesn't move over on time. Or the guy that panics and moves in front of you. There's nothing to talk about going 110 miles an hour. There's no one that's going to say going 110 miles an hour is not dangerous. We murder other people. Yeah. Whatever. Nidnal Shem Soifai speaks Parsha. I have to wait. I'm saying not really, you can't kill him. I'm just saying definitely it would make sense that a guy like that, if police would arrest people doing that. So if you're doing something which is clearly dangerous, that's awesome. If you're doing something which may be dangerous, but the society has done it and does it, and not because they don't care about the danger, much as smoking. No one thinks that inhaling carcinogens into your lungs is healthy. No one denies the fact that there's a smorgasbord of diseases you can get from smoking. We just don't care. We say the alternative is worse. But if somebody now wants to start smoking, you can't say Shem Epsayim Hashem. Shem Epsayim Hashem means where it's something which is dangerous, not dangerous, like jumping out of a plane. So let me just finish what? So Rabbi said once someone is addicted and this and that, it's what's up. But again, if someone's not addicted, 100%. It's 100% lifnei even to get someone to start smoking. To give out cigarettes to these kids that didn't get started, it's 100% lifnei even. There's nothing to talk about. But so now jumping out of a plane. Jumping out of a plane is not no risk. There's risk. It's 1 in 50,000. But the Olam has done it. Society has accepted this as the norm that we do it all the time. For example, eating red meat, drinking wine. All these things are risks. But society has accepted it. That we say Shem Epsayim Hashem. That we say. But something which is inherently dangerous, that we don't have to do. As far as planning for the future, planning ahead, that's where we go back to Rabbi Moshe. Anything which is kalasais, I can figure it out very easily. It's easy for me to figure out is it a danger or not a danger. It's very easy. Then do it. Figure it out. Somebody says, it's like, I want to go to school. I want to get a BA, so I get a job. That's no problem. Makes sense. But to plan out things I want to do genetic testing on an embryo, things which is not bekalases. It's taking an exorbitant effort and not something which is a societal accepted norm. Then we say, Tam Tim Hashem Elikechem. Stop worrying so much. Stop trying to figure it out. That's why Hashem says, you don't worry about it. Leave it to me. I'll take care of it. A good Shabbos. Thank you everyone for joining.